Greetings and salutations, FAMU. Man, we got a little bit of something special for y'all tonight. We got some of the Avengers here for you. Also, we'll talk a little bit of FAMU basketball, and hopefully y'all staying warm. Y'all can see, look, I ain't got the fresh waves in because I'm trying to keep it warm. I'm trying to, keep it nice and keep it tight. But I got some FAMU legends with me tonight, and might even get the voice of the Rattlers with me as well. So it's always some good times, always some good fun, and we might cause a little bit of good trouble. Not a lot. Y'all already know what's up, what it's about to be. Fangs Up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he does! And that might be the knockout punch.
Greetings, salutations. Look, I need these Rattlers to bounce back and bounce back better. Right now, I'm watching the ladies, and we down 10. But it's up there. But in the meantime, I got some great FAMU people with me. Hopefully, get another one. Kelvin Roger, ONG Strike Zone, Mr. Campbell from the Coaches Campbell, as well as just Off Script Channel. Pretty soon, the way it's looking, Mr. Campbell, you'll be running the Off Script Channel.
Hey man, we gonna keep it. We gonna keep it afloat, man. I told her, I said, man, listen, you got a job. I don't need you commenting on nothing. I don't need you to lose that job right now.
No, sir. No, sir. I was so happy for Scotty. I was like, man, I hope he didn't think folks were like, man, hating on him because he got the job. Nah, brother, I understand. You got a wife and kids.
Your kids with another one coming.
Right. Look, 3 years, mine at the house. How y'all doing it one day after, had a nice Avengers come back together, reassemble last night. How y'all feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. Glad to be here with you, man. Appreciate Brian invited me because he kind of invited us.
Right. I was like, I appreciate it though, Brian,
I saw it. I mean, you know what he said? I said, I'm gonna support my brothers, man. And like I say, and Kelvin and Brian, hey, man, I will say this, man. I really appreciate you guys putting that together and stuff like that, man. Because I get, as soon as we get off of there, I just get a bunch of texts and things like that. And I'm gonna make sure next time we do it, I'm gonna stream it, on the channels too, to keep it growing and stuff like that. Because I will say, and I tease my people over there at Jackson State, and I call them mass meeting, but they do a good job of bringing people together, and I'm talking about Ken and them 1400 Club and stuff like that, and everything. And sometimes I know with FAMU, we one of the biggest schools, but sometimes our voice not as loud. But when we get together, it's really loud. I think people really enjoy all of that.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Man. Absolutely. And Michigan kind of coming together. The fall sports are coming together. Got tennis that is kind of starting out there. Track. Look, safe travels. They going up there to Clemson, and I mean it's indoors, but still they got to be on the road. So we want safe travels for that. And the women's basketball team's playing right now. They're not winning. This is the pressure season. Like we are watching right now. Coach Precious been on ONG. She's been on St. Clair's show with myself, and I know Ms. Campbell, you talked to her as well. Kind of we in that middle part where it's either win and rise to the top, or don't win and kind of fall back a little bit. When y'all are watching this basketball team, though, what are some of the things you are noticing that maybe are the successes and maybe the lack of success, or what causes some of the lack of success?
Well, as I always say, the biggest thing for me with this team is they just have a small margin of error because you don't shoot the three very well. You don't shoot from the field a high percentage. I think it's 30% or below for three, and probably right around 30% from the field in general inside the 3-point line, and we still have high turnover. So again, our formula for success is high volume shots, and they have to be the right kind of shots. The right players taking the shots that's good for them. We pretty much got a bunch of slashers on the wings, a mid-range game, and then we get rebounds, and sometimes our center, if she's out of foul trouble, she can get some garbage points. And those wings, when they actually hit shots, we cooking. And those 5-point quarters is what kill us, man. You look at every game we done played, we have a single-digit quarter. So we offensively challenged. Defensively, we solid, but we're not stellar, right? But we're good enough that it keeps us in all games. And then what has separated us, but especially in the games we won, have been at free throw line. We shot very well from the free throw. We're the number one team from the free throw line. Even though the last game we lost, we didn't shoot very well from the free throw line. So, and we've had a lot of injuries also, people in and outside the lineup. But for me, from a coaching standpoint, I think it's real important that they get the rotations right. Because certain lineups, we're productive, and then certain lineups, if we're not scoring, then we give up a lot on the defensive end. And so she had to make sure she pair the right people and that it don't go too long. When the game's starting to get away, she has a core of about 6, 7. She has to stick with that core. That's what I see.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I think Pure 4 has been a delight. I think she has really shown playing at the point guard position. I like what I've seen. Excuse me, out of Jackson. But the one thing about it, and I believe the young lady, the son, is that Robinson?
Yes.
Yeah. And you can see, because Robinson is taller than most of the centers, and if she could just stay out of foul trouble,
yeah,
you could just see, because the one thing that disappointed me, like in the Alcorn game, she was just so much bigger than that young lady. And just if they could have kept giving her the ball, and, again, she missed some bunnies, right close. And you can see there's the potential to really, and again, I'm a big women's basketball fan. Dawn Staley is all about height. It's all about that big girl just dominating. Now, you look at all her bigs, and in women's basketball, that still means something. You know what I mean? That you can get somebody and get that and get easy buckets because, literally, you're taller than a lot of the girls. But she let that girl from Alcorn just kind of move her around a little bit and things like that. And then to Kelvin's point, is we just got to get consistent. And I think that's what drives, like I say, Coach Gordon, who, like I said, I love so much. Like I told her, watched her when she played Tennessee, is that you could just see that she wants to consistent because we don't have that one person. Our Jackson is starting to come, but we don't have that one person like just go get us 20. Right. And that's the thing about it. And that's what this team really needs.
Absolutely. And speaking on that consistency, we have like a different person who's the leading scorer like every game. Pure Force, sometimes she's on, then she go for 2. And then McCarthy goes with 20, and then she goes with 4. And then Camille Jackson might go for 15. Then she go with 3. Consistency is really a big thing with us. And, learn how to win, especially when you've had some success. This is new group. That's the last hurdle you figure out how to win on a consistent basis because you bring the same game, the same mindset every game. Not realizing once you don't won a few games, people coming at you, brother.
Well, yeah, they start taking you serious because they start seeing that, hey, and I think honestly, because we played Jackson State first, right? The ladies, then we played Alcorn, right? Is that, if I remember correctly, right? And we beat Jackson State ladies. You don't think Alcorn women were like, okay, this ain't one of these easy road trips like it's been since we've been in the conference. And I think that had a lot to do with how they played with their level of intensity.
Yeah, and that was a game where it was tied going in the fourth quarter.
You're right.
And we had a 5-point quarter.
So, and one of the big things we kept hearing from Coach over the couple of years is, her getting her girls in, her getting her players in, and you can see some difference. But I guess that's kind of the conundrum with this being a contract year, right? Where she has to perform a certain kind of way to get that extension. Otherwise, we kind of restarting. But if she can get that extension, do y'all think we'll continue to see that roster shift versus kind of what we've seen where, the first 2 years she kind of had to deal with what she had to deal with, where this year, I think the only one is Super Rets is pretty much the only one from the Pillow era left.
Yes. I think there's potential, but I got to see more. I put it that way. Right now, I'm encouraged. and I actually go to the games thinking we got a chance to win now, and I used to not.
Yeah.
That not used to be the case. So there is growth, but it's still got to be more, and it got to be consistent. You know, last year we had a little run where we were on about 4 or 5 in a row, and then the end of the season we just couldn't finish any game. We had a lead against everybody, so then it didn't matter. We had a lead, and we just couldn't finish games. So we got to see if we can finish this season.
I think one of the things, and Kelvin, you hit it, is that I think with Coach Gordon, she basically had to learn how to recruit. I think when she first got out there, and it was like she was picking players, and you know how sometimes the resume, because it's more like, okay, this girl played here, but she wasn't a player. But that's the reason why she was in the portal. And I think she's starting to realize, let me get a junior that can play, that is scored.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think she's starting to realize I don't need the names. Again, kind of what we talked about is we're going to switch from that. I need the production. Don't give me the name. Give me the production.
Yeah.
Because the production is what matters. And I think, and that's what I'm really hoping for, is that she can get to that top 4, make a run in the tournament where we don't have to say, well, because the contract is over, and just because we got to make a change because the change has got to be made because of the situation. Because I think she is right there, kind of understanding. And like I said, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is Coach Gordon's first head coaching job, is it not?
It is.
Yeah. So there you go. So you're talking about your first head coaching job, and it's a lot of things when you move in a second seat to that first seat.
Yeah.
And especially we have not been a traditional basketball power.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that, when you girls say, hey, I want you to come for it, and who, you know what I mean? And I'm being honest, when it comes to girls basketball, it's not a name that rings bells. So you got to go in there and really sell them on it. And I think she's really learning now how to go get. So I'm hoping that she can get to that level, to your point, where we don't have to start over. We ain't got to give her another 3, maybe give her a 2-year, you know what I mean? Because I think she's right on the cusp,
Yeah.
I agree. And I think when I'm looking at it, that's my hope. I definitely, I read the comments with Cam. You see folks ask, hey, we got Cozy fired. And I'll be like, we didn't. Ain't nobody get him fired. I sat there, me and Mr. Campbell can tell you post game, we sat there looking at each other like, so what questions are we going to ask? We would look at each other and give each other that eye. And we would look at some of the other folks like, all right, now, these are the questions we gonna ask. And these are the questions we not gonna ask.
Right. And you know what? And not to belabor the point, to really, and I think people don't understand, and I have to, I admire journalists because, I don't, nothing against Stephen A. Smith. I'm not here to embarrass anybody. That's not my thing. I ain't here to got you. And Keith and I, and we would sit there and we really was like, okay, if this is going on YouTube, because Vaughn, we don't want us to look bad, like we're trying to disrespect the coach. So we would really ask questions to say, okay, we see, let's help you out with this question. Because if you answer, then people will feel more comfortable. Now, the way he answered,
right?
Unfortunately. And I think that was some of the downfall, because again, when we asked him, and again, not to get too far off on it, but Keith, I'll never forget it when I asked him, because it was like a layup. Hey, why are we doing these 3-yard passes? And I just would have said, this is part of the game plan. And when he said it, I don't know. And we were like, ooh, So, yeah, that was tough.
That's tough. And I had to send Vaughn a thank you just for basketball, because I know he's been doing some of the basketball coach post games. And I greatly appreciate that, because you can see the difference there. I mean, you see the difference where, hey, one thing you can never say about the FAMU media is that we out to get you. Like, I don't care who you are. You could be having a horrible season. I remember Coach McCullum post game. I knew it was over for him. We were playing Jackson State, and I asked him. I was like, "Why do you play?" I believe it was Alex. I forget Alex's last name, but I know his uncle. And I was like, "Why did you take him out the game?" Like, I'm not trying to be a homer, but he was actually playing really good. We actually took the lead back, and he's like, I didn't even really notice. And I'm like, yeah, bro, it's over. So, with the FAMU media, we're trying to be fair about this. And even with Coach Gordon, man, I want her to succeed. Because I'm like you, Mr. Campbell, I think it looks better for us just continuity wise. If she comes into her first coaching job and she kind of learns and is able to tweak recruiting to be able to fit her personality, her style, I think that leaves FAMU in a better place because it's not good when you're switching coaches every 3 years. And, you know, I don't. I'm not one of those people that relishes, looking at the coaching list and making a coaching list. And, it's just sometimes it's part of the show. It creates content. But it's also a lot of times we get to say what y'all don't get to say, right?
Yeah, and the only thing I add to that is, and you all have heard me say this before, winning ain't easy. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's just not having the right team chemistry and the coaches coming up with the right game plans and playing to the strengths of their team and to the weaknesses of their opponents. But things like facilities, nutrition, support staff. It's a lot of things that go into helping a program win, especially a new head coach. And I think Mr. Campbell is right on in terms of her growth. I've seen a lot of growth this season. With how she coaches, she's actually on the sideline teaching or coaching based upon what's going on in the game. Right? I've seen her start to work the refs a little bit. She talked about 3 games ago. She talked about how she had got the basketball manual, and she had went over it with her coaches, and she had done some challenges in the game. She was successful, and that was the game we won. So there's you absolutely can see the growth. It's got to continue. Because you got to remember, the people who brought her here ain't here. So
that's it. That's it.
Not a single one of them. Now it's funny you mentioned, and I love the behind Mr. Campbell. You see our head football coach, the head Rattler, Quinn F. Gray. Please say the Gray. And we talked last night about the football schedule. Hopefully, if you missed it, we got to tell some lies. Tell what I feel is my truth, and get to have a little bit of fun there. But one of the things in particular there, right? We got a money game on there, right? And y'all know I love to see a problem and try to find a solution. So we have the University of Miami there. It's kind of a short weekend there, but I believe, Kelvin, you pointed out that 2-week period between those 2 trips to Miami, FAMU stands to make about $1.2 to $1.5 million. And it's crazy to think about it. I was doing a little bit of funny math. And in the first 3 games, FAMU could potentially make $1.5 to $2 million in athletic funds just from 3 football games. We see, though, Miami's paying us about $740,000. What's some of the remedy to maybe get away from these money games?
But 2 things stick out real quick to me. Let's make it 3. 1, the giving. We get more people giving, then we don't have to play those games. 2, I talked about a capital campaign with fundraising. I'm talking about corporate dollars, and inside the capital campaign, I'm talking about endowed scholarships, facility improvements, and very targeted initiatives with athletics. I don't think I cannot recall the university ever having a capital campaign, period, for anything. And I've been pitching it for a while. I've sent some emails with some ideas when other schools, including a couple of HBCUs, did it. I made sure
Hampton capital campaign, one of the most successful in history.
Yeah. I made sure the foundation folks at the time was aware of it. So we've got to get into that game. Then last but not least, I hate beat down games. I always said it. I still do. I don't believe all money is good money, but I like neutral site games. But as we saw with what happened with some of these neutral site games, all games aren't created equal. What I would love to see is the Tennessee State game, out of conference game, rival, neutral site, Atlanta. I like to see that come back, but I like to see something like what we got with the consortium in Orlando, where we own it, and whoever putting it together for the schools, and we split that gate every year. Every year, you can get that $500,000 to $700,000 playing them versus and then you can pick up a FCS school because you got your payday game with your new site classic with your traditional rival. So those are just 3 ideas off the top of my head.
Well, people know where I'm from. I'm from Jackson. You never see Jackson State play those money games, and there's a reason why. Because people come to the games and they make money at their games. That's why Jackson State, you never gonna see them play Mississippi State. They go down to, they went down the street to Southern Miss, but I'm talking about those big money games. Well, and I'm talking about people call them all the time because they want the band, they know the name. They don't have to do it because of the initial support that Kelvin's talking about at the foundation. It always starts with the foundation. So my thing is, how can we have an experience with every game? And again, we've got a great schedule. I think our schedule is much better than in the SWAC than it is the MEAC because the schools that people know, the bands that people know, and things like that. Make sure those bands come and sell that joint out because you can already say, if you're saying we're getting, Kevin, what do we hold? I mean, because it goes up and now we hold 17,000 now because of whatever's going on.
It's
like
19,
right?
like 19,250 something.
Okay, well let's just say we're gonna do black folk. We're gonna let 20,000 in there. Some of y'all just gotta call. We ain't worried about the fireman. But if you're talking about that, and if you right size the ticket price, when it has something to do with, of course. But then you look at that money. If we can sell those things on the Kelvin's part, is then utilize what we have, corporate sponsorship, things like that, things that I know that are being talked about to be innovative. Then you don't have to play because that Miami game. I understand it, but have those young men, because that is a big game against South Carolina.
Yes,
and I'm talking about that's a statement game that I don't believe, because I think this coach, I don't believe South Carolina, say no disrespect, because I love Chance Barry. But that team is not no powerhouse team. You know what I mean? We've seen our team, the Jackson State teams, you know what I mean? The Central team with Rick, that was a good team because really Prairie View probably should have won that game. So my point of it is I'm not looking for them to say, oh, wow, they got all these superstars. I think it's going to be a competitive game. Man, my point of it is with coaching, and I think we're going to be in that game. I don't think it's going to be no 35, 40-point game. So my point of it is knowing Coach Gray and coming in that game with a 2-0 over Albany State, he's going we should win this game. We should. And then you have to turn around and play University of Miami because you're going to put all your heart, sweat, and tears to try to win this game and then play Miami 4 days later. I just don't like it. I just don't like it because no matter what you do, because either you're going to surrender at the beginning or you surrender in the end. Right. And surrender in the end really does it because I think we talked about this. Look at all the guys that got hurt in North Carolina game.
Mm-hmm.
We lost 6 guys in that game. And Miami is getting back to being Miami.
Right.
They put the money into it.
And you looking at their offensive line that was huge, that, guys like this. So, I just hope we don't play those games like that anymore. But I think to Kelvin's point, it's got to be where we improve people coming to the games. I know sometimes that has to do with the hotel stuff like that. But also to your point, how can we monetize what we have? Because again, if the case is, because we know what the number is. The number is over $700,000, right? Because that's all we're getting. It's not a magical number. So how do we replace $745,000? We'll put a plan together, and then to your point, okay, and people don't like it, but people do it all the time. Do we get a home game where the home game experience is so great when we sell out and we make that same amount of money? Mm-hmm. So that's what I look at.
Now, I will say this, Kelvin, and because everyone's not as learned, honestly, as you are, what does a capital campaign look like?
So typically, you get with the areas that you do assessment. It starts with assessment of what your needs are, right? And you got short term, you got some long term, but capital campaign is just like that. What it says, capital. So it's meant to be big, and it's centered around typically capital campaigns, of course, fundraising with cash money, and then some capital campaigns include endowed scholarships, and that can be the endowed scholarships can be athletic or non-athletic for that matter. You can also endow positions like the head football coach. There's programs, athletic programs who've done that. And and for those who may not be familiar with endowed scholarships are, endowed, you give X amount of dollars, say the salary is $200,000 for the head coach, or for a scholarship in state is $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
But so you give whatever your foundation percent on investment. Say they get 8%, and so you need X amount of dollars, usually many 100,000, maybe $1 million, to cover it, to get that in interest annually, and therefore it's always paid for. And the good thing about it, the reason I always talk about endowed versus non-endowed stuff, is because when you give to endowed things, once you get there, it takes a little more longer to get. But once you get there, you ain't got to get that. You ain't got to raise that money no more.
Mm.
Whereas when you give even $100,000 to something initiative, and once you do that, that's done. It's gone. It's out the pocket. And at some point later, nothing lasts forever. You got to do it again. So I really think HBCUs in general need to focus more on the endowed side of things. Number one, but we have those assessments in athletics. We have feasibility studies, what they call, right, where they talk about, you look at everything from your conference affiliations, you look at your peer group, what's considered your peer group. You look at your structure, your organizational structure, your salaries, the number of sports you offer, the scholarships, and all that. And from that, you put that into a capital campaign. You come up with a list, right? And you rate or rank that list. And from that, you put together a program on how you're going to raise these funds, and you set up the accounts. That's the other part. The detail, the devil is always in the details. You got to make sure you have all the accounts ready. You have all your marketing materials ready. And the first couple of years of most capital campaigns are what they call silent phase, where they're not really even talking about it publicly. And they have a number that they're looking for to reach before they go from the silent phase where they go public with it, right? And so then, when they get to that number, they come out, hey, we're launching this 3 to 5 year, because that's usually it's a multi-year thing. We're launching this 3 to 5 year capital campaign to for these specific things, and we already have raised 2.5 million of that during our silent phase. And of course, there's some strategy behind all of that. When people know you already done something and people already gave you something, it gives them more confidence. They want to participate. Everybody want to be a part of a winner, and you look like a winner when you announce something. You already did something towards that. And so what we've done with the Quinn thing, all in, it could be part. If you have a capital campaign, you develop one this year, you can actually use that as part of your silent phase and seed money for your capital campaign. And also what it allows you to do, frankly, is you can leverage that money for the campaign in order to finance some things. That until you get the full thing, like if you got $2 million in the foundation, where you can use that money that you can use for whatever, and say you need a $10 million facility, something. Well, you can leverage that $2 million with a finance company to finance that $10 million investment you're trying to get, a facility you're trying to do. So, once you got money in the bank, people willing to give you money. Take money to make money. So those are just some general things, but I would love to see a targeted, specific capital campaign that has gone through all those steps, that has those feasibility studies, those program assessments, and structured, and to see us do larger things. We do what we do at our capacity. We do what we do decent, ain't great. It ain't knocking out the park, but it's getting better. We're getting better at asking, but I want us to continue to grow and do better.
You were kind of leaning in because that was one of my questions because you heard the conversation about the field house. I mean, we've needed a new field house for going on 30 years almost. I mean, respectfully, but and so that was kind of my thinking with some of that is, hey, can we, as you mentioned, all right, once we kind of get this money with the Win with Quinn thing that we're doing, could you use that towards the field house? Could you use that towards putting lights on the practice field? I've heard the conversation about iPads and all of our coaches want iPads, but it's that kind of that thinking of trying to make it so that it can make more money. Because I think sometimes, I know, especially us, within our community, we always say, Lord, I seen what you've done for others, right? And I see where our competition, I ain't gonna call them nothing else but what they are. Our competition in the state, everybody's floating bonds. Now, whether or not that's the right move for FAMU, right?
No doubt.
But
no, it's been the right move for about the last 10 years, which is why I've been preaching it.
Yeah, like they floating bonds, they doing stadium improvements, and as you mentioned, I've said this is my vision for the stadium. The north end zone was cute when they started it. I sat out there one time. That's honestly how I met Mike Road Dog, and I was like, man, this is too hot. But you put something in that north end zone with a field house plus those amenities. Now all of a sudden, the field house starts paying for itself because it's generating ticket revenue and other things like that. So, that's just, pie in the sky thinking from me. But, I love that you kind of broke down what the capital campaign is or could be.
Yeah, Kelvin talked about that Hampton, and I just looked it up, and like I said, very detailed. You can go on their website. Their capital campaign was $150 million. And they talked about the endowed scholarships. They talked about the different affiliation groups from alumni to D9 and all these different things. And I think, unfortunately, is that, and we all agree, we've had inconsistency. We've been consistently inconsistent in leadership in every level. And because you can't put a capital campaign, because when we are flipping presidents or we're flipping people that are the fundraising chair or this and everything like that. So again, I'm going to keep saying this 29 days riding FAMU foolishness. That allows you, the people, to sit back and say, I think I'm going to be here for the 30th day. Let's start putting a plan together. And I think that's really what is key because, and you guys, like I say, live in Florida. I know that the biggest thing is always the trickeration with Florida is that you can't get money for stadiums and things like that. You got to put in a classroom and different things like that. Well, then that comes back to the political clout. How are we working with people that are FAMU affiliated, that's in the state legislature, and how do we work a deal? Because I will say this, and one of the things that, unfortunately, that happens to all of us, we got to figure out the people that's cool at Central Florida. Hey, listen, we going to vote for y'all. We need you to vote for us. Now, I know sometimes that usually don't work, but again, we got to figure out ways to make those partnerships to get our things on the table.
That's right.
Because that's the only way that we're going to get the funding to get it started, because while it's great, but we can also understand the amount it takes. So you're saying like the field house, and I'm just saying, what if the field house costs $20 million? You could get that from the state. But you got to make the state understand and some buy-in. So again, do you go, and this is what I'm saying about the politics. Who are the people that are the construction companies that allow and say, hey, listen, we want you to back us with your lobbying efforts because you're going to be the ones building it. Let's be honest. Because there's money in it for you. So how do we work those things? The people that are going to be making the money off of it, how can we say, this is good business for you, City of Tallahassee. We build this to help the taxpayer. How do you get involved in it? So these are a lot of things that I think that we got to figure out, how to, from a political standpoint, because again, it's easy to sit back and say, let's raise money and everything like that. But you got to have that political capital to get that thing going.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. Like I just, this isn't, I'm not trying to hype up the other side of the tracks, but I worked there. That was my first real job. Like, so Florida State, that was the first place to, take care of, little mama. But it made so much business sense when you worked at the stadium and all the offices were there. Like every administrative office was at that stadium, and it made it so that it was convenient. It made it useful, and it made it make sense. So Coach Brian is here. we hadn't talked basketball yet, Brian. So wanted to make sure we reserve that. We're actually kind of looking at the football schedule a little bit. Didn't go game by game. We did that last night, but was looking how can we avoid the money games. And Kelvin brought up the capital campaign. I want to say capital gains. That's a whole different thing. But I had him explain like what is a capital campaign because some people don't know what it is, And then so we kind of were there. Big takeaways from the schedule though. So what's y'all's biggest takeaway when y'all are kind of looking at the schedule in totality? What are we talked about your favorite game. Everybody's win-loss prediction that would give a win-loss prediction. But how do y'all feel about like overall just looking at the schedule? What's your takeaway from it?
It's popular. It's popular with Rattler Nation because as I pointed out, we identify with all those schools. We got a history of playing almost all those schools. They traditional rivals, they're regional rivals, they're competitive. What I will say is we didn't give Coach no easy wins. It's a challenging schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it. It's the kind of schedule I want to see outside of the money game.
I love the fact that 9 games are in the state of Florida. That's what I really love. I mean, for which to me, we've talked about running this state. Well, we need great marketing, great advertising, great promotions. We need to look, I don't know. I feel like, there was a time back in the day when we were on the yard when the Rattler Sports Network was all over the state. This is a great year for that to happen again because there should not be a city within the state that can't. I mean, look, of course you can get on the internet, but I'm talking about the airwaves. People should be able to hear this team. And I'm not void of me but people want to hear Rattler football. This is a great year to hear it with so many games and then traditional rivals that we talked about. It's exciting. It's an exciting opportunity for people to be able to travel and follow this team all across the state. And then, hey, if your one out-of-state trip is Alabama State, that's a great road trip to make, right? If you were to make just one trip out of state. So that's what I'm most excited about. 9 games, 9 out of 12 being in the state of Florida.
Well, you know me, I'm a SWAC baby. I'm just happy because, listen, I grew up in a time when the SWAC was at its height, and I came to Tallahassee, and I was just confused. I was like, I'm not used to this. You had schools that didn't bring people, and the band never came and stuff like that. So I've always said FAMU should have been the SWAC 30 years ago. Everybody knows I've said that. And because of the fact that we're in that, to your point, Brian, listen, we ain't in the SWAC. We wouldn't be going to Alabama State. We'd be going to Delaware State. You see what I'm saying? Just that alone answers your point of what you just said. You know what I mean? You're talking about, Southern, who we had a traditional rival with. Now it's a conference game. You're talking about Jack State, a true blue blood that is now, and Brian, you know it because you catch it all the time with those folks, that is a thing online. You know what I mean? But you get that because of the energy of the magnitude of the football programs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We are a blue blood football program. They're a blue blood football program. So to your point, and I think it's great about the radio. I think people don't understand what Brian's talking about the radio. The people that give the most money will listen to the games on the radio.
Yes.
How many times have we heard, and I got people in the chat, she know who he is, got to call her mom and say, you can use the app. Now, what you mean the app? I used to get head on the radio in Jacksonville. I used to get head on the radio. And there's nothing wrong with that because as we matriculate to that age, it'll be fine. But the point of it is we still have a group that, again, and I use it because I love the 220. Hey, listen, those are thousands of dollars. And if Brian, they'll listen to Brian, and Brian is saying, the capital campaign, guess what? And there's nothing funny than the 220. But they're the only people that still write checks.
Yeah, correct.
They're the only people that still, but that's the funniest thing.
They got checked.
Right.
I
haven't had a checkbook in 15 years. But the point of it, to Brian's point, but guess who gives the most money? If you go on here, they literally are getting $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 an episode.
Yeah,
it is crazy. So to your point, if that's the reason why I think we have the best of both worlds, and then to Kelvin's point is that now on our out of conference games, we go play a traditional rival like South Carolina State, which is not too far, and then get there. We can play at Tennessee Stadium. That game gets moved to a neutral site. But even if it goes home and home, it's people that we're familiar with these teams. I've had an argument in a group, and people are talking about why is Tennessee State scheduling all these HBCU? Because they're HBCU.
Yes, thank
Their
you.
fans wanted it.
Thank you.
The fans have said they
care
wanted
about
it.
no Tennessee Tech. This
Right.
is
The alumni
Tennessee.
want. Right.
You know, so that's what it makes sense for them. You don't think they were those people that come, the big John, when we play in Florida A&M, we're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that just means a lot. And again, it goes back to the point when you're playing those games, people are more likely to come. You're more likely to make money. You're more likely to say, hey, can you donate? You know, Brian, again, this allows Brian to get one of his catchphrases going. It is, oh, by the way, donate to restore the strike.
Exactly.
I like that. I also, Brian, you hinted at this, and I didn't really think about it as much as until you really started thinking about it, and I started looking at the schedule, and Kelvin said it too. I love the opportunity to reopen up some markets. We know the Florida Classic is not happening in Orlando, pretty much. I mean, UCF has pretty much confirmed that they have a home game that same day, I believe, when they released their schedule. So where are you going to play the Florida Classic? Jacksonville's doing renovations.
Oh, you're talking about for next year?
For next year.
Really?
Dropped their football schedule. They are playing a home game on the same day as the Florida Classic.
Oh, wow.
So the Florida Classic is going to be displaced from Orlando. Almost undoubtedly. I'll say that
this year?
This year. The Florida Classic will be displaced.
Well, no. I thought the renovations to the Citrus Bowl began. I keep calling it the Citrus Bowl, whatever it's called, Camping World.
Camping World.
I thought that begins in 2027.
No.
Well. So here's what I'm hearing, Keith. Brian is kind of correct. I'm thinking they are doing some renovation this season, but the way it sounds, but it's not confirmed yet. But the way it sounds, they may be able to play the Florida Classic there still in some kind of reduced capacity.
But then next year we won't be because they'll be working on it. And then that could be the
Jags.
Correct. Right. And then that could be the conflict with we're not playing at Central Florida Stadium because they'll have a game that weekend. Potentially.
And I think this opens up new markets because we talked about the Atlantic. Everybody who talks about Tennessee State wants a game in Atlanta. I'm sorry. No disrespect to having it home and home. That game was different in Atlanta.
Exactly. To that point, look at the last two times I was at the games both times, all four times. Look at the last two times we played them in Tallahassee, and look at the last two times we played them in Nashville. It wasn't as good as the Southern attendance. No. Wasn't even the ballpark.
It wasn't as good as the game in Tampa, honestly. If you think about it, when they came to Tampa,
but I look at that one different because of the hurricane. I mean that
right. But I think the attendance was still comparable to our home game. I think had not we had that hurricane, and I think the potential, just seeing FAMU potentially be in Tampa, Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Orlando, and Miami, all of a sudden you've opened up FAMU to every major city in the state.
The Notre Dame of black college football.
only in name, not in conference affiliation. We're not doing it.
Right.
Well, we swag affiliate. We'll keep it like that.
Right.
We know how the independent work before. That's back almost 20 years.
Oof, that was a rough time.
But Keith, I want to say something. But here's the thing, and I know everybody, dreams about Atlanta. But the reason why we didn't stop playing Atlanta because we would lose. We never made money in Atlanta ever. Never.
But that was the business side, though.
But how do we get that point? Yeah. But the point of it is to make money, you got to understand the people that promote it got to make money. That's what the whole thing is. So when you start adding expenses, I got to give Tennessee State $700,000. I got to do this, and the dome is $2 million. The math don't be mathing.
Mm-hmm.
So to that point, though, and I know a little more than what I'm saying, not with Atlanta, but just in general how these things work. What I would say is this. the Las Vegas Classic done showed you how to do it. If you want to do it at a pro stadium, get involved with the pro team.
Yes, because I think.
Well, see, but I'm and now living in Atlanta. But see, here's the problem, and see, but this is a couple of things. Well, I'll agree on because I talked about this about when Jack State should play us or Southern down there in Jerry World and call the Cowboy Classic. The thing about that, you gotta want to have an owner. See, Mark Davis wanted that because he had the people in the building that wanted that. Now, Arthur Blank is a supporter of HBCU, but who was in the building? Because you saw in the building to drive that. They'll say, hey, we're going to basically get this building up for free, and we ain't going to make no money. Because let's be honest, that's what that is. We're going to turn this into a nonprofit.
I was about to say, does that become a tax write-off?
That's exactly what it was in Vegas. I know how that whole thing got put together. And you got to remember, see, too, Kelvin, again, not to get with your point, but remember, Las Vegas has a Las Vegas commission that wants to bring events in. So they, you know what I'm saying, their convention bureau help, underwrite that also. You're on mute,
Kelvin.
It was Graham McGrath who was a part of the commission, who chaired it. Like I said, I know a little something too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You're right.
When you in there, you can make it happen and make people feel good about it and stuff. And like I say, again, when you got Las Vegas, that hey, they looking for something. Hey, because that was enough for Las Vegas. The convention bureau said, "What y'all need $250,000? Oh, that's easy. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? That's we usually give it $2-3 million to get stuff."
And to that point, we have some rattlers, of course. It's Atlanta. And I ain't talking about on the politics side. I'm talking about Mercedes-Benz. We have some DP with the Falcons organization. Kill Blunt is there. Been there 3 years. So we got some things we can leverage. We just got to, as you talked about, we got to have that leadership and that stability in place long enough to put these things to paper and to negotiate it.
Yeah.
Look, okay, and look, Brian. Now, Brian's a basketball coach. Y'all know more. Y'all have forgotten more about basketball than I will ever know. I was teasing my wife. She was like, and I was like, baby, I ain't gonna lie. Basketball is that sport. I'm more of a fan than I am an expert. But with experts on here, because look, Kelvin's coach basketball, Brian's coaches basketball, Mr. Campbell's coach basketball. I watch basketball, and I normally do statistics for basketball. That's about as much as I got for you. But this year, look, this is not what we expected as far as not this quick. I don't think anybody thought Coach Ward was not going to be successful. I don't know if we expected this much this fast in a game where you probably could fairly argue you should have beat Jackson State.
Easy.
Come on, Kevin, you muted. You got haters.
And Bethune.
Because
with a minute something left, we had the lead. Right? And then the referees, gave them some free throws and caused some fouls on us. And, they got away with it. So, but absolutely. But again, I talked about this, and so I ain't going to say a whole lot other than I did think Charlie would win this year. But I had coaches telling me that they were going to win this year.
Yeah. His assistant coach confirmed. He was like, "We're gonna be good this year." I was like, "All right, Coach Last. All right." So, Brian, you shared a stat sheet from that Jackson State game a little bit. You want to kind of, since you get to be on the other side of this, break some of this down a little bit, or explain kind of what's maybe some of the secret to the sauce, and you also gave a comparable for the Alcorn State game as well.
Yeah. What I always like to do is I always like to kind of put those visuals up there, and I don't go to, I get hit over the head for being a bit of a stat nerd. But that Jackson State game, the key numbers that just sticks out like a sore thumb is shooting 53% at the free throw line in a 1-point ball game. And I didn't even put the total number of attempts, but I think it was a little, just shooting 52%. I mean, we had been shooting 70. This is the same problem that plagued the women too that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams have been shooting well. And just all of a sudden, in their last game, the women against Alcorn, the men against Jackson State, it was like all of a sudden we couldn't hit free throws. And so when you lose a close game where you have under 10 turnovers, we did get out rebounded a little bit. We didn't shoot the ball very well. Jackson State, Ruffin is an outstanding player. I mean, man,
I hated our defense on them though.
And here's the thing. We should have all been tipped off to this. Good teams, after getting blown out by 40, usually turn around the next game with their eyes focused. And so
didn't have nothing to do with this game, though. We were up by 10 at the half.
But the fact that they were able to lock in, come down the stretch.
We missed wide open threes, man. We just were cold. It had nothing to do with them. They had 2 players in double figures, right? Number 3 did give them
30 and 20 is 50 points. 50 of 66 points from 2 dudes. That's pretty significant.
So that team thing is what I'm getting at. That team thing, but wasn't it? And we still lost by 1 in spite of all that. Now I agree. I give you, Ruffin is a baller. However, at some point, at least in the last 3 minutes of the game, don't you think you should run another person at him and get the ball out of his hand? The guy is 5'8", 5'9". Don't you think you might want to isolate him and post his butt up and make him play some defense? There were just some things that just was glaring to me in terms of our philosophy. I know, Coach, we were winning. And we were winning that game, even in spite of the cold spell and everything. So I get it. But there are some things within the times in the game, some things you can do that when what usually work for you ain't working, can give you some separation. Then, I mean, we know how big struggles were from the free throw line. So them last 4 or 5 minutes, he shouldn't be in there so they can do hack and shack.
Hey, yeah, you know what? When I heard, like I said, when I saw Liv post that note about the hack and shack or the hacka indalma or whatever it's going to be, that is going to be a problem late in the games. That is going to be a problem that hopefully it can work itself out. But if he can't make free throws late, you can see teams going to that.
Because he actually made 3 in the first half. He had made 3 free throws in a row, which was a surprise too, because he's not a great free throw shooter, but he did. But yeah, late in games, I think it's in his head. They intentionally fire him before the ball even get inbounds, right? They doing the back of that. So they pointed him out. He know they pointed him out, and he going up there with no confidence. So
on the season, he's shooting 33%. So
right,
I mean,
if
I'm scouting, I mean 33% is like, wow. I mean, yes, exactly. You're not even worried about those 3 he made in the first half. You can chalk that up just to like dumb luck and just say, well, the ball just happened to want to go in, but the odds say that won't survive.
Yeah.
That won't last.
Right.
And sure enough, so yeah, that's a new strategic thing that we have to deal with. It'll be interesting to watch that play out in these 2 games against Alabama A&M and Alabama State. It really will be.
Because he's a force. He can play.
Oh, Am I being bold when I say he might be the best big man in the conference?
No,
he's the best center.
Nobody has that size that young, and he's strong.
Okay,
he's strong.
Thank you.
But my thing is, and this is the thing, when you got a coach, what I'm excited about, because we're getting ready to, as they said, at midway point. When you got a coach like Charlie Ward, who has always just been fundamentally sound in everything he's done. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't think people understand, like say, Kelvin, we were old enough to see him. He was across the tracks. We watched him.
Yep.
And people thought Charlie was just flat. He was, but everything he did was fundamentally sound. He didn't make mistakes. And my thing is with this young man, if I'm Charlie Ward, I'm saying, listen, after practice, I need to have you cut the lights off. Because if you cut the lights off and you get to 66%, we're not losing.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't say 70%. I said 60%. And people that know that shoot free throws, that's not a big leap. You know what I'm saying?
No,
to that point. That's 3 or 4 more free throws that you just got to hit. Because if you get to 60-something, now they can't foul you. And now I can give you the ball. And now all of a sudden, to your point, Brian, nobody is big enough to guard him.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I would like for him to understand is don't look at it as a deficit. Is look at a challenge. And then we see him coming to the tournament. All of a sudden, he's knocking them out.
And he is until Tuscan hopefully comes back or comes into play.
I think I saw him dressed out last game. He didn't play. He wasn't dressed out the first game, the Saturday game. But I think I did see him on the bench the Monday game. So hopefully he's coming.
He's the only. I mean, hopefully, if we have those two, we're an instantly different team because now we have a second guy who we can put on the floor to rebound. Because right now, trying to play a 6'8" Shirley, a 6'8" Wash, those guys are wings, forwards. You know, they're not true post. I mean, everyone's trying to do their best, but in terms of intimidating the other team and keeping the other team from wanting to go to the paint, we got to have those two big 6'11", 240, 250-pound bodies in the paint. And so hopefully we get that. But, that's where we're at. So
Yep. And shout out to Brian for that graphic though, because once you pointed out that free throw percentage, it just stuck out like a sore thumb. Where just kind of looking and seeing that 64% free throw percentage and just the difference that it made in the game. Because you think about it, if you hit 64% against Jackson State, we're not having the conversation about coming off of L. You're like, hey, we won.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And 64% in that Alcorn game is that low. That is low for us too.
Correct.
That is low. I mean,
that's
so
below,
when I tell you,
average.
Yeah, that whole weekend, those two games were below our average, and we won that. Alcorn was. I mean, you can look at the way they shot. I mean, the only thing they shot well from was the free throw line. We out rebounded them, and so that one was a good win to get against Alcorn, and but. I mean, in theory, we scored the same amount of points in both games. The difference was what our opponent did. So, that's kind of crazy when you look at it and say we scored 66 in both games. Well, the big difference is
you let one guy go for 30 though.
Yeah,
go for 20. But I don't mind 20, but 30, I got a
30. 30's a lot.
30 at 5'9". I'm sorry.
Is it?
And the thing, it's a Brian point. The guy that that can go 30. See, my thing is. That's the guy can do it. Why we let it? And again, that just shows how great a play. But I'm Brian. I think, and we all agree that dude ain't gonna do it. I need you. If that other dude can get 30, then so be it. I'm leaving that. Let that other guy just shoot. But you ain't getting it because see when that guy and I watched Ruffin play from Jack. I know he's a Jackson, Mississippi ball player. Them boys go to hole. They tough and they get it going, and they know you can go get a basket. But see, you keep them cold. And make those other guys shoot, then the whole offense gets out of whack and stuff like that.
Boone kind of did. He got 20 against them, but I think most of that was from free throw line.
Yeah, everybody else got locked up in that game. I mean, so they are a one man. I don't know. I don't want to. They have one guy, one extremely really good player.
He has to go off like that for them to win against the top teams.
Yeah.
Okay. So, since you mentioned it, we're at the halfway point, and all of us we'll probably get together by the end of the season. But first season in, right? How are you feeling about Charlie? Like, I've heard some people talk about his disposition. My dad went to the game. He's like, man, he's so calm, and I was like, that's for a reason. But how do y'all feel about Charlie Ward just as his first year at FAMU? Head coach, the success, not really many, if any, failures, and just the whole Charlie Ward experiment at FAMU so far.
Slam dunk. I mean, I'm tickled pink about how great a hire this was.
Yeah.
I mean, it really. I mean, we got a local legend. An NBA veteran, a great person, I mean, we got all that wrapped up into one. That's the trifecta. I mean, that's hard to get. Sometimes you might get like 2 out of 3, but man, that's really hard to get. And then you got a guy who look, man, he's a winner. The winning translates, and I think that's what's the fascinating thing, that in the past, what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to word it right. In the past, we have overlooked, because even when we hired Patrick Crary, people were hesitant, but you had to look at his resume and see that the man won at every stop and level. So I told y'all when we hired him, he's going to win.
Yep.
And people get caught up in this, where they're coming from. Well, if y'all were caught up on him, and here's Ward coming from the high school level, but with his NBA experience, but he won at the high school level. He won. And he's won every stop and everywhere he's been. So that means, that tells me, okay, here's someone who knows not only the game, but knows how to organize people, knows how to lead young basketball players. And again, when you're winning at the high level like he won at Florida High, well, he's working with high-level talent, guys who are going to college, right? He's always in the playoff, won a state championship. So he understands the college recruiting process, because he's had recruitable guys who went on to top-level programs. I mean, it just made it was such a big time hire. We could, we couldn't have gotten a better upgrade from what we had. And y'all know I love Coach Pat, but man, we talk about an upgrade with somebody who A, is not looking to take a jump to the next level, and B, it's not his last stop on the road, because Charlie Ward's about as old as we are, which means God willing. I mean, Charlie got another decade with us if he wants. Right. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. Somebody who says, no, my feet are planted right here in the soil of Tallahassee, I ain't going nowhere. It's like, what? Really? Oh, we got that? How did we not luck up, but you know what I'm saying?
You said it right.
It wasn't luck. It was vision.
Yeah, it was vision. Great vision.
Yeah.
Great.
Shout out Angela Suggs.
Great vision.
19.
Yeah. So
when that didn't know. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So.
Well, let me say, because I knew a lot about how this process went down, and I'm like Brian, I didn't have a problem, but again, this goes back to what I was saying. This was during a height of our family foolishness days, right? So no matter what would happen, and again, Coach Query got caught up in the FAMU foolishness, right?
Yeah.
So he got a 1-year contract, which wasn't fair to him, but we know what caused that, right? The FAMU foolishness. He goes. And this is why and again, shout out to my sister, Angela Suggs, because the redemption was so beautiful, because he literally told, I'm coming back, while he was in Grambling. And then said, what is understood don't need to be said. And then he shouts out people. I'm not going to say their name. But guess what? We make a hire. And we hire Charles Ward, who is my age, Brian, just to let you know, my age. And the thing about it was, for people that knew, I said it was no doubt, because Charlie has won on every level, because he's a winner.
Yep.
See, this goes back to the thing we talked about this last night. When winners win.
Yep.
And people always want Charlie Ward to be, and like I say, man, and Brian, you came right in the back, but see, me and Kev, we was in when that Miami, Florida State, Florida, that he was in that area. Charlie was the quietest one on the bus. That whole Florida State team was nothing but mouth. This is William Floyd and all these boys, Terrell Buckley and all these guys. Yeah. Okay, nothing but right when Dion was there. You know what I'm saying? You got all those guys, Michael Barrow and all those guys that they're playing. And Charlie was the coolest one because that was his thing. But you knew when he played, you guys said, this man played basketball and they got to Final Eights and Sweet 16s every year he played.
Loved watching those teams, man. Loved watching those teams.
With Sam Cassell.
Bob Sura.
And Bobby Sura. You got and Doug Williams. He was the point guard to a point where he had enough confidence to say, I don't have to play football because I'm a winner enough in basketball to get drafted. So I say all this is that when I knew that Coach Query made his decision, and I understood why he did it. But I said that's the biggest mistake he's going to make leaving FAMU. and it's going to make us look so good when we get Charlie Ward. Because see, this is the thing about it, and Brian, you know, because me and you are in it. Y'all lost y'all coach. Y'all going back to whatever. And I said, y'all don't know Charlie Ward. And now you heard anybody say anything about that high now? Quiet as church mouth, especially when we whooping y'all asses. Let me say that too. You came down. Go ahead. See, that's the thing about it. And the thing about it is ain't nothing worse. See, it's one thing when a guy that got a mouth whoop your ass. The worst is the guy that don't talk that whoop your ass. That's the worst.
Yeah, it is.
He just like, it's nothing. So that's the thing I relish to Brian, to your point, that somebody that I know is going to be here. And because he didn't want to talk about Charlie Ward coached high school basketball. He know where the players at. He coached in all the tournaments. So it's nothing for him to go. And then, well, guess what? He was a high school coach. He knows other high school coaches. And I'll tell this quick story. I was up in the University of Georgia. We were lucky enough to sponsor team dinner. There were people from Georgia who wanted to meet him and say, oh, where you coaching here? I have X.
Mm-hmm.
These were people at Georgia. See, that's what Charlie Ward brings, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say that, you know, so people, just the thing about, and these what happens when these connections, and you make it, because that whole thing, where everybody thought the world was about to blow up. You know what I mean? You lost your coach, football is football, I'll just say that, and all the other things going on. And then he comes in, and again, 29 days, no foolishness. No fools on anything from the day he stepped on there. And that's the thing that I'm excited about. You're talking about basketball. Basketball getting good. You know, football, baseball, you had Coach Shoop, you know what I'm saying? Coach Bill, now all of a sudden Florida A&M is to be, you know, when you look at the University of Florida, they're just good at everything, or certain schools, Ohio State is good at everything, or schools like that. We should be like that at HBCU level.
Yeah.
There's really nothing that we shouldn't be good at because of where we sit at. So you, all of a sudden, we can go from football to basketball, women's basketball, and baseball. Hell, we might be able to pull the trifecta off in one of these years.
Very possible. Very possible.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Did you have a word, Kelvin?
Uh-uh.
And we again, y'all know we don't, I don't hold y'all too long, but we're gonna make sure we finish strong. Win with Quinn, right? That we're close. We're seeing the numbers are very close to the $200,000 number. I believe last I saw was about 208. So if you haven't given, I'm like Brian, it's 207-477 right now. You can give some pizza money. You can get a 250. Look, I ain't gonna hold you. I gave pizza money, and then somebody made a donation in my name to double it up a little bit, and I'll triple it up. But I gave some pizza money. You give it your level. I definitely openly stated that 250 was limiting some of the people. You know, you excluded your folks who couldn't give it at 250. So you missed some folks, because those who gonna give, they're gonna get at 250. But anywho's, I digress. The Win with Quinn campaign is very close. We're almost there. Kelvin gave a great idea for how to turn that into a capital campaign. Why has it worked?
I want Campbell to go first on this.
I'm going to tell you something, and as somebody that has raised money for FAMU, when people believe in you, they'll give you money.
Yep.
And this is the thing, which the most disappointing thing when the last, and again, I mean, I can't avoid it, because it's a dichotomy of what happens. You have a coach that goes on to the SWAC media day and says, I don't have this, I don't have that we can't do this. But that's on you. Because if people believe, then you see $200,000. I don't think people understand. This is less than 30 days. Yeah. Very few HBCU schools, and people got campaigns going on. They ain't had no $250,000 in less than 30 days. So my thing is that when you believe in something, you'll give to something. You know, when you see, because the thing about it was, and what I like about Coach Gray, he said, even that you know me, you don't know me. And what I mean by that is, don't take some of the things that you might have heard, because I'm coming here to win and to do what he did at Albany State. And everybody knows, and that's why I say with a lot of people, he played with a third, fourth, fifth straight quarterback in that last part of that run. If he has his guy, they're national champions overall.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to coach that team and then to come in and you can just hear the thing that, cause I'm a big person about messaging. And there's certain things you got to know your audience. And he was able to hit a tone. And what people say, you know what I mean? APR. We're not going to get on that practice field. We're coming here to win. I'm going to recruit the right players. Well, that means you're not going to waste my money now. I can give you my money. See, people don't want their money wasted. Because I hate when people say that we're broke. Because that's a lie. We're not broke. We're not broke. That's the reason why we're with the FAMU. All of us got jobs. Now, you ain't got to be a millionaire, but you got enough money to give what you. We all know it. Because we've been to homecoming, and folks coming the nicest of nice and do all that. And at the bar, you know, I've been my board. I can drop my credit card down. They can put their same credit card down for that. And that's what people are knowing. So what I was most excited about when Marvin called me and told me what it is, I said, Mom, this is going to work because people believe in Coach Gray. And that's the thing it's about the belief. It's the same thing with Willie. You guys got to remember when we heard that Willie, Curtis, what was that? We raised $25,000 and almost 48 hours to keep Willie. We were going to pay Willie $500,000 and he would have been worth every dime, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing about why I'm excited. And as the season, and I just got to say this because and Brian, we saw you call the game, and I teased with it because I knew how tough it was because we're watching the game, and I just know that the product on the field is going to even be just better. Mm-hmm. That's going to be our people. We're not going to see the same thing that we saw last year. And again, I'm just being honest, and I have to say it. It's not that we play South Carolina State. I tell you what, we're not going to lose by 40. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee you that. I can pretty much. I ain't gonna put an eyebrow on it, but I can put some. I'll put some money on it. We're not gonna lose by 40, because I believe that the coaching is going to be to put us in a position to win, and that's when you start seeing it. Because again, we listen. I was listening to Brian, and why did we 3rd and 4? You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be a hesitation when the coach makes the play. The play didn't work, not because we didn't know why it didn't work. You know. That's what I'm excited about. So you're going to see money even going in the middle of the season that are going to keep getting fundraisers that's going to go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm happy for you, man. I'm excited for you, brother.
Absolutely. And why I work, Keith, is because, as Mr. Campbell said, people give the relationships. They give the people that they believe in, that they trust. And Quinn has all that goodwill with him. And since Mr. Campbell went down that rabbit hole last season, football season. This is the last time I referenced last season. But Brian was with me when they went on the field and they went into that pump formation. And I went crazy. And then the next show after that, right before we played Florida Atlantic, I said, if it was me, I'm going to blitz through this hole. And our number's right here, and I'm going to block it. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened in this game. They almost blocked 3 or 4 more. And then when you heard the coach after the game, Florida Atlantic coach after the game, he said, "Oh, we knew we was going to get it."
Yeah. That was the one prediction you got right all year.
Hey, I'm just saying. Yeah, because I was trying to be a homer.
we sure did.
Yeah, I always try to show respect. You know what I mean? Like I said, we didn't go Paul Feinbaum, you know, George from Lower Alabama, you know, so we didn't do that. We had a lot of restraint, you know, a lot. And again, and that's because we don't do that. You know what I mean? It's not trying to embarrass somebody. But as they said, there's levels to this. And we expect a certain level. We have seen this. And again, this goes back. We are a historic football program.
Yes.
The Legacy Bowl has Coach Gaither's name on it. Yep. Is Eddie Ross? Do people understand that what I just said? So that shows you how far we go back with football. That our coach, our legendary coach's name is on one of the teams. So when you see that and you have a guy that played for one of our legendary coaches, Billy Joe, that won playoff games, that beat everybody, scoring 40, you feel comfortable. You know that it's going to be done right because, again, unfortunately, what we saw, because, again, there was 3 games that I think we all agree on we should have won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No doubt.
He lost me the first game. I ain't gonna hold you. that was the one time.
Lost to Howard. We shouldn't have lost to Bethune. We shouldn't have lost to Valley. I mean that ain't not being disrespectful. That's just being football facts.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because was that the show week? Wait a minute. Because wait a minute, was that the show? Because we were doing it when I brought Coach Cole on there. Was that the show? I brought Coach Cole on there with you guys, Kelvin. To
Was
break
that,
down that.
I think after the Cookman game.
After the
wasn't
cooking
it?
game, yeah.
After the cooking game.
And he was like,
you
what are they doing?
SWAC, you know, it's just like you can't, you know, you got, and this is the magnitude of this game. You know, so these are things. Well, and again, this is what we saw.
Yeah.
You know, so again, it's not down to anybody, but those are games that, again, you win those games, things are different.
Yes.
So it's not that, you know, the kids didn't, you know, again, this is the thing that we want. So I feel, again, when you talk about a Coach Gray, to Kevin's point, people are going to be lined up right. And this goes back to about, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, then between names and coaches. We got coaches. That defense, trust me, under Ryan Lewis, you ain't going to never have to worry about that defense being out of place. That I can guarantee you. Because if you watch Alabama State, they were fundamentally sound. They never had an offense. Do you guys really? They almost beat us with a third-string quarterback. That was his defense that kept them in the game.
Multiple times that defense kept them. Let's be honest, it's not because of the defense why we have a winning streak in Montgomery. That's not their fault. Like what was it, both games? Or I know the last one in particular, it took a special teams return to win the game. Like Kendall Bowler returns that kick for us to win up there.
So that's what we got now. You know what I mean? So fundamentals, again, wins games. And again, we point out, Indiana didn't make one mistake in that national championship game.
No. And
they win. And if you're fundamentally sound, if you're the team, it's all a cliche, right? You make the team to make the least amount of mistakes win. You're going to see a much more disciplined team than we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yep.
Absolutely.
How about you, Brian? You know, Brian's enjoying not being a moderator today.
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't have anything to add. I mean, Steve and Kelvin said it. I mean, you know, I have nothing. This is great. This is a great campaign. I'm glad to see it moving the way it's moving. The one thing that comes to mind is when Coach Gray was on the show. You know, the numbers, I'm not gonna lie, are a little disappointing. I'm encouraged that they have grown, but they are disappointing when you see less than 1,000. But you know, I mean, it'll continue to get better, hopefully. But I would have liked to seen us be able to, and who knows, we may by the end of the week still hit over 1,000. But I do think being over 1,000 is huge and would be huge. Now, and then we got to be able to take all of those donors and we have to engage with them in a certain way. See, that's the, you know, we talked about this as far back as the Celebration Bowl. Walking into that and not having anything ready, prepared, pre or post to engage with some 40,000 Rattlers who were in Atlanta to celebrate winning the championship was criminal. And it showed a lack of vision. And so I never want that to happen again for the university. And I hope that the university is adamant about never letting that opportunity or opportunities like that happen again. And this would be our first opportunity under this new administration where, hey, however many donors we get, we got to engage with that 700,000, however many, whatever the final number ends up being, we've got to find a way to engage with them on a consistent basis about things that are happening.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Brian, can I make a point on something though? And I learned this. And this is why we have to look at history. And the people that donated, and I'm gonna tell people, I was waiting because I thought we were gonna have Coach on. I'll make my big donation. I was gonna make a shout out, so I'm gonna make my shout out to my classmates. I'm making mine on the 31st. I'm gonna email all you jokers in that list because I'm gonna do two, but I'm gonna do the first one is $119.88 because that's how we do our thing. So I'm asking all the 88 to do that. There's 700 people in that group. I'm at least expecting 200 of y'all to do that. But Brian, I'm saying this is that when you're asking for money, it's not this, it's what has happened man, we had a lot of FAMU foolishness. And a lot of people that you just the regular people that you can get money from or you grow things, they're cut off right now. They're waiting to see because all the things, and unfortunately, everything over the last 2 years has not been negative. This ain't right. What is this? Whatever. So when you go ask somebody for some money, because again, a lot of people don't know who Coach Gray is either. He's not Deion Sanders to that point. For the FAMU people that understand it, just they know. But I'm telling you, I know people that, because again, it depends on how old you are. You know what I mean? They don't know. But what I'm telling you, what's going to happen is because he's going to be successful. Wait till they run that campaign next year.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till they run that campaign next year. That campaign next year is going to be $500,000 to $1 million. Because now, like I say, we're going to go, and I'm going to believe that we're going to keep this consistent, that there's nothing foolish. Because, man, we got so much stuff going on, and like we just got to be honest. People are not going to give money because the smoke is just not clearing.
Right.
You know, honestly, we basically went through the fact. That's what I mean. We had a transition. The first one, so the smoke is clearing, and now everybody like, okay, it's not as bad as we thought. You know, the folks ain't coming to shut us down. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. We were really like, so now we know FAMU's gonna be open, and we now know that there are people that are in place that we feel can move forward. You know what I mean? So that's why I want to be. I look at stuff that half full, not half empty. But to your point. Because I talk to people, because I'm talking to classmates like, yeah, I'm waiting to see about that. You know what I mean? Because Marvin's my classmate. I know who he's talking to. And Marvin's done a phenomenal job to get that. You know? So I just for everybody that, because again, we do these shows because we love FAMU. And again, this is a bubble. Let's be honest. Because you got to think about it. Again, you guys will get after that show, it'll be 1,000 people that'll view it, right? We got 40,000 people as Rattlers, 60,000 no matter. You just stepped on the campus.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of people that just don't see us.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why we got a lot. So my thing is we got a lot of growth. So the fact that we got the true believers at least come in here for $250,000, let's call like the white folks say, they'll say $250,000. That's pretty impressive.
They do.
Yeah, you don't know heard no white people say no trip. They say, oh, well, where's $250,000? Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
So, and I love that you mentioned, and Brian kind of hinted, what's our next step? Like for me, you know, okay, yeah, like I said, I gave a little piece of money, you know, we did our thing, right? And I appreciate Miss Gail, because Miss Gail was the one who really got me off the fence of being like, well, I ain't giving $250, so I ain't giving nothing. And she was like, no, you know, she put in the chat, you give what you can. And I was like, you're right. And in that vein, and I see where our athletic director Davis, you know, he's trying to get folks to give $100 annually, right? What's the next step for us to do that? Because not just that in particular, but what's the next phase for us supporting FAMU athletics? Is it increasing members of the boosters? Is it increasing direct donations into the athletic fund and turning the athletic fund into something that can really and truly become an endowment? Like, what's the next step that you would see or that you would like to see from FAMU?
Eat all the above, everything. But to the point, do your assessment analysis, which Dady has already said he's going to do. Take that data, quantify it, put together your priorities, and then organize internally first. Ain't nothing worse than having a great idea, having great information, but you launch it, you don't have the infrastructure to execute. So I would much rather for him to take the 6 months, like he said, do all those things and get everything aligned, the synergy that he needs in his own department, the athletic department with the university and the foundation, the athletic department, the university foundation with the DSOs, et cetera, get all that lined up, and then come hard. But get your infrastructure in place first.
I think one thing for me is that we got to do a better job of promoting our wins. We got to do a better job of letting people know how great Coach Bill did. A lot of people didn't even know that we went to the SWAC championship in softball.
Man.
in exciting fashion.
Exactly. That was a big deal. Jack State, they a good softball team program. And for her to come in there, we had the band of the year. Look at what we're doing in basketball. So what are we, the communication, because that's what I'm saying. Get it out there to the people. And again, this is something I'm working in the background. We literally, because this is what I'm saying, we raise money. Do people realize everybody's on a 5-0? You look at those tests, those people have raised at least 25, those freshman classes, we need to be activated. So the next challenge, and this is the thing that I'm saying is, you're getting those people, they're not in the alumni association, but they're part of that class, and say, okay, you raised $25, $100, $200,000. Well, you know what? All the classes, we all raised $25,000 for athletics. Because they're already there. And they're rolling in. Everybody's on a 5 or a 0. So 5-year, 10-year, 15-year on somebody. So everybody that's 91, they about to do their 35. You know what I'm saying? And 2001, and you know what I mean? On and on and on. These are people that give money. The only way you get that tent, you got to give $25,000 minimum. So that means somebody's knowing how to raise money. We got a plaque. We raised $100,000. We're at almost 150. So my thing is, celebrate the wins. So again, when we come back to that, I'm going to talk to all those people. I'm getting all their names, and I'm making everybody feel good. Because, man, when you make people feel good, they give you money.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, softball. Like I say, Coach Bill, come to the game. We need more people to be reposting those clips, Brian, when she's saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, there's nothing bothers me more, and I'm going to get on my high horse number, shut up. And I get on Facebook, and you forward me stuff that ain't got nothing to do with FAMU. But you'll wish Beyonce birthday, happy birthday to Jay-Z, happy birthday to somebody that you don't know. Yep. And you won't wish FAMU happy birthday, or we won a game. You know what I mean? So we have the technology. So that's what we got to do. So my first thing is about starting, because you got to have the infrastructure. But the first thing, you got to communicate, people let you know, hey, we coming down the pike. Oh, by the way, you know what? In football season, we're going to be looking for you. But let me tell you why we're looking for you. We got a great coach. We get ready to do some exciting things, but we need your help. These are things you got to keep people engaged. So that's my whole thing, is about the engagement, that I think we just got to do a better job. And again, it goes to the AD and things like that. And again, I know that everybody's working on that, but I just want to keep reiterating, the way you get people is to keep putting information and go find the people that you haven't talked to, because the alumni association is on the alumni association. Majority of people not even in the alumni association. I'm not saying that's a negative. I'm saying that's an opportunity.
Right.
So you can't just say, we just go talk to the alumni association. You got to talk to the street committee. Because the street committee is raising thousands of dollars through their freshman classes. The Friends for Fam, they ain't not part of the alumni association here in Atlanta. What are you doing with them people? They got the biggest be out there in the whole school system.
To that point, just some ideas. You saw it with I believe, I forgot which bowl team. It might have been Indiana, but their alumni association brought, I think, 50 seats on the team playing, so they got a bigger plane. You pay your way in. I used to do that when Bill Hayes was there, and I used to travel with the athletic department. Say, hey man, instead of me giving my money to JetBlue or whatever, I'd rather just, if y'all got a seat, just I give it to you all, and I travel with you. And that's how I first started traveling with teams before I started working with them officially. I remember the Fish Club and the bus trips. They would partner with the Alumni Affairs office and stuff, and they would all the buses that go into these different games and stuff. There was a little fee and everything, but everybody would work together. So there are things that we like to do already that we gonna do that you can participate in, and you know what, that does more than the amount of money that you're raising on that. What the value is building relationships. People getting to know each other and getting comfortable with each other. And what did I say? People give to relationships.
Yep.
And building establishing those relationships, it might start off small, but at some point, it can be something humongous. And you got to see that. You got to be willing to put in the work and accept the small and build up to that.
I hope every month something is done. Even I know we have the big picture stuff, but even every month something small has to be done to engage with people. And you brought up a great point, Steve, about celebrating our wins, and it made me think about when we did our 2025 recap show. We had 4 amazing championship stories in 2025. And probably the one story that wasn't a championship, you mentioned softball. Softball had an outstanding run where they won 5. Let me see. I think I said they made it to the extra game. 4 of the 4 games were walk-offs. I mean, that tournament run was special. And then you have the great stories of golf, tennis, track, and then volleyball. I mean, so whatever kind of Disney story you want to write, a team that came from nowhere, a team that struggled and found themselves at the right time. Well, that might sound like our volleyball team, right? And then you got the story of championship sprinters and runners and our women's track and the golf team, what they did dominating on. But like you said, we got to celebrate and tell our stories, and people have to know who those players are. And that's the one thing I have long pushed and talked about. We have to do more to let people know about our student athletes.
Yes.
And when we do these funny, great little social media things, sometimes we just put a student athlete out there, and I always watch that video and I keep going, who is that? What's their name? I don't know their name. And then I go to the website and I got to look and figure out who it is. But you got to introduce us to these people. And it's like one of the things I saw another school do, and it just so happened to coincide with a young man at the high school where I coach at, who's now up at playing for an ACC school. Watching them do their social media stuff was outstanding all summer. But the one thing that caught me was in the summer, the new coach sat down with the new players, and they had like a little 5-minute convo where the coach would literally be sitting here, and the coach and the player would be there, and they would just have a little 5-minute conversation. And the coach was like intentionally introducing the fan base to, hey, this is so-and-so. And, well, tell me a little bit about your home. Tell the people about your home. Tell us about your family. And it's like all the stuff that the coach, obviously he knows because he recruited him, but the coach is intentional about introducing him to the fan base. So that way, by the time the season gets rolling, hey, I want to support 22 because, 22, I met him during the summer. I got to watch that video about him, and he has a great story, and he's from Orlando. And I love the fact that his mom is this and his dad is this, and they're hardworking people. And, that's what we have to do more. We have to find a way to do more of that to really engage. And so when Steve talks about selling those stories, and you go to these classes, like, we talked about getting a class to sponsor a team. It's easier to do that when we know the team.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Brian, I'm gonna tell you what's funny. And again, my ATL nephew, Amon Parker, committed sign. He's in school, but I would tell you,
he's a big kid. I didn't know he was as tall as Quinn. When I saw that picture,
hey, listen,
I was like, yo.
I did I got on the recruit trail for us, man. I had to stop at Jackson State Track.
I appreciate that.
One of the best quarterbacks in Georgia. But the one thing I told him, I said, man, let me tell you something. Before you go, because he's in class now, he's an early signee, early enrollee.
Nice.
Go learn about that history.
Yes.
About fam. You go follow him on social media.
Yes.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
Because I said, the more you know, you're talking about the NIL, you'll be able to get NIL where people know you, to your point. Let these people know you that you have the level of intelligence who you are. And that you want to be a rattler, that you want to be. You ain't just coming down here just to go to FAMU. You coming down here to be a rattler. And I'm so proud of that young man because he's already understanding that. Go there and support. Listen, you're an athlete. You need to go to basketball games.
Yep.
And what they used to do, football teams to sit up there in the stands and stuff like
they
that.
cut full.
You know what I'm saying? So go to the games. So I'm very proud of him, and I hope his freshman class, his freshman brothers that come there to be Rattlers, they follow his lead.
Exactly.
Because to your point, that gets us more excited because we know the quality of young men that the coach is recruiting.
Yep.
And Marvin, look, that's my baby. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's my baby right there. I knew her before she knew herself. But I'll say we missed an opportunity with that. That's my girl Taylor. Taylor, I've known Taylor's dad. I'm 41. I've known her dad for 30 plus years of my life. So
is that the video? Is that the video?
Yes,
that,
of the softball.
I just started watching
that's
that today.
My baby,
did it just come out today or yesterday?
It just came out today, I believe.
Okay, because I was watching that this afternoon. That was funny as heck. That was
we
good.
Missed an opportunity though, Brian. At the end of that, it should have had something to donate to the Rattler Athletic Fund. Like part of I think what we're missing is, and you said it, Brian. And I know for me just now, I was telling my wife we were going through finances, and I was like, yo, I cut this, we're cutting this, I'm cutting this, I'm cutting that. But some of the little microtransactions, you can catch me for $10 a month. There's 12 months in a year. That's $120. Like you mentioned it, Brian, every month, if you can say, hey, give us $5 or $10 for the Rattler Athletic Fund, and you get that video of Taylor and then the student athletes, because even in that, Taylor's talking to the players and she's having fun. And she honestly just said, I'm just out here because I'm bored. But then you get her talking to some of the students, and then all of a sudden, give to the Rattler Athletic Fund. We want to see y'all at the games. Then all of a sudden, you put a little QR code. All right, I'll scan. I'll give you $10.
That's it.
I'll give you $5. And like you said, Brian, like you said on your show, it's just a cup of coffee for you. But it's 80,000 alumni. If all of us give $10, then all of a sudden, that money starts to multiply. And then all of a sudden, we can do what Kelvin's talking about and say, hey, these folks giving us $20,000 a month. Let's go ahead and put this towards a capital gains thing. Hey, let's float a bond to get a new field house. Let's build a new field house. Let's put everything we need in there, locker rooms, but let's also put in their seating area so that you can now, it funds itself. So it's sometimes that's why, like I said, I got mad about the program because I felt like we were so busy big game hunting that we missed that. Hey, there's a lot of the Rattlers who ain't got that 250, but I give you 25 and I give you 25 a month. I'll give you 10 a month. And that adds up to, hey, that's that 100, that's that 250, because that's how Netflix gets you. That's how ESPN gets you. It's a $30 a month fee. You ain't thinking about it. And you're like, man, do I want to cancel? I want to watch the game. Like, even with Rattlers Plus, Brian, let's be honest. Once basketball season was over,
they had me on the hook for about 3 months before all of a sudden I figured it out. And I was like, wait a minute.
Right. I was like, oh man, let me cut this bill. It's the summer.
I just chalked it up. Oh, well, that's my donation, but you had me for about 3 months until I figured it out.
Charge to the game. Look, and so it's stuff like that we don't even think about. And I think going forward, that's how we build upon this. Like you said, make it a monthly thing, but have those videos come out. And we support the students. And as you said, Mr. Campbell, we get to know the kids because that boy right now could come over there. Let him get named the starting quarterback. He got an NIL waiting because I'm like you. He got me locked in. When he started spitting FAMU history, I'm like, oh, whatever you want, young man. If I can get it, I got you.
That's what we want, man. We want Rattlers, man. We don't want football players. There's a difference.
Yes, it is. There it is.
And just another perfect example of what Brian is talking about. You remember what the cheerleader Naraya, I think was her name, when she went viral messing with the refs and everything, man.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, ESPN and everybody else, talking to and interviewing, introducing people who they are. All those videos that they like you say that we targeted, it was entertaining. I enjoyed the video, but yes, we need to know who the players are and a little bit about them. And then also, take advantage of it. And if you got a QR code, we had Coach on talking about nutrition. Have somebody eating a Nutri-Bar or something.
Get some fruit.
And then bring that QR code up, Absolutely. Programming. That's what they call it.
Programming. There you go.
Man, well, look, I appreciate all y'all for coming on tonight. We ran long, but it was definitely fun. We can all blame Brian. Brian's always a convenient scapegoat, but no, if it wasn't Brian, we would not have had this much fun. Y'all make sure tell everybody where they can find you, what nights they can find you, and then we'll wrap it on up so that y'all get ready for work and get ready for the weekend.
Well, I'll go first because you guys got the big show. You know what I mean? I'll go first.
No, stop it.
No. Hey, man, listen. You know it is your favorite HBCU Coaches Corner on the Rocky Miller channel, on the Off Script channel, man. You know, we interview all the HBCU coaches, so we kind of know what we're talking about. That's why I let you know we got a great coaching staff because all the coaches that we talked to told us we got a great coach staff. Like I said, we're going to have Coach Quinn Gray on. We're going to have Chennis Berry on, and we're going to have Ted White on the next couple of weeks. We're probably going to have Coach Shoop on, too. And probably got another big time guest because there's some more bombs that's going to come down for FAMU that we're still working on that I know that the administration's still working on. So, man, hey, we appreciate you, man. You know, Keith, thank you for having it on, man. So, like I said, support this brother, man, because this is our show, man. So this is for us, man. So thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Who want to go next?
29 days with no FAMU fools. I love that. We got to keep that going.
I'm keeping the spirit going. Every time I'm coming on, because I believe in it now. I really do believe it. I believe the spirit. The spirit's working with us. So I'm gonna keep that rolling.
Please do.
I'm gonna go on AI, get a sign made.
There you go. That's what I want you to do.
I'm getting that. Yeah, I'm gonna work on that. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, you can catch Kelvin and I every Wednesday night on the Black College Sports Network, the ONG Strike Zone, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central is where you can find us at ONG Strike Zone or at my BCSN1 on the Black College Sports Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those good places is where you can find us. We say 2 hours. But sometimes you get a little extra, we get a little overtime, depending upon. But make sure to come check us out. We appreciate everybody, and definitely appreciate you, Keith.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Bro, y'all ain't never win no 2 hours.
It happened a couple times.
Hey, it happened when Brian ain't on the show.
Yeah. Again, when I'm not there, it happens, right? They be like, "Hey, we can get out in 2." It's like, okay, good job, man.
Oh goodness, Kelvin, did you have anything to follow up with?
No, man. Brian said everything. I appreciate you inviting us on the show. Brian inviting us on the show.
It's an open invitation. Y'all know me, Keith Adley, Fangs Up podcast, 5th quarter. Look, I appreciate everybody for having fun with me, especially on the basketball thing. I am definitely running with the Plies gag all season, just because Plies is a character that a lot of people don't realize. He's got a really deep ties to FAMU, but he also is kind of one of those weird microcosms that can represent a lot of what the FAMU experience is. You can come from a really disadvantaged area, go to college, and make a lot of yourself, which, I know a lot of people don't look at Plies like that. And of course, I'm different, as my mom says. So I'm going to look at things a little deeper, but that's why I'm having fun with it. And so, anytime the team wins, it's definitely going to be a little talk nice to me. And I even saw where Coach Gordon leaned into it because it's fun. We got to have fun with our own stuff, because if not, they're not going to let us have fun with it. So as everybody pointed out, when we won championships, ain't nobody celebrated like we did. So when we win basketball games, I'm going to have fun with it. And if we lose, it's still going to be a little Plies beam up there, but it's probably going to be a little more on the, the fun side of it. But just want to make sure I thank everybody, Marcus, Gerald, everybody, Tashay, everyone who's come on. And I know, the other half of the Avengers, they're doing their thing too. So we are slowly trying to take over the world, I guess. Next football season, Brian, are you already getting ready for the orange and green game? Oh, you're gonna be there. You're gonna be working. You ain't got no choice. So
I hope so. There's a lot of work being done. So I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
Okay.
Praying and hoping. There you go.
Look, next season we are definitely looking to bring the Avengers back. And I just want to make sure, again, thanks everybody for watching, share, subscribe to all of us. As y'all know, we need all of us to get monetized. It's not because we just want money in our pocket, but it's because what we make, we put back into our shows. And, we've seen what y'all have done to support people like our friend Off Script. And we want y'all to support us as well, So it's not a space of jealousy. It's a space of love. And y'all know with FAMU, it's family, and we love different. We love better over here. So for all of y'all, all the Rattlers, all the family, all the Avengers, y'all already know what's up and what it's always going to be. It's about to be Fangs Up, and the Rattlers will always strike and strike and strike again.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal.
while our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Dorsey, have